This is a mistake that I made. We are all, for the most part, control freaks when we own our business. But guess what? There are people a lot smarter at you that are way better at things than you are. We all have our different zones of genius. Payroll is not my zone of genius. So I hired a CFO. Why am I going to start doing the things that he is better at? I personally only have 2 direct reports. And I take great pride in that because I'm not the best manager. That's not my zone of genius. I want to be creative. I want to be a visionary. And so hire people, empower them, and I wanted to do that because...
Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Jason Hennessey.
All right, so here we go. These are the lessons that I learned along my journey. Lesson number 1. You, everybody sitting in this room, you are your number 1 constraint. Raise your hand if you feel me there. And I'll explain it, right? So when I first started, I was trying to do everything. I was doing payroll, I was doing account management, I was developing the SEO strategy, I was building links, I was doing account management, I was doing everything, right? But I was the blocker of my success, right? And so what I needed to do was I needed to optimize my life and optimize my time so that I can start doing the things that I am best at. Like, what is my zone of genius, right? And so this is an exercise that I followed, and I hope that this will be helpful for you. So if you want to take a picture of this, this is great. If you want to write it down, but this is something that I encourage everybody in this room to do this exercise. So when you guys get back home, I want you to basically just put down your task. Then you're going to put 4 columns, and I'll explain what these columns mean. And then you're going to put dollar and hour, right? So the I stands for you're incompetent at this task. The C means that you're competent. The E means that you're excellent, and the U means that it is a unique thing that only you can really do, right? I was talking to Matt Diggity last night. Is Matt in the room? There's Matt. I was talking to Matt last night at dinner, and he was saying, and he actually said this even before I gave my presentation. He says, I said, where do you spend most of your time these days, Matt? And he says, believe it or not, like I'm spending most of my time on my YouTube videos. And his YouTube video is content, right? I mean, it's awesome content, his YouTube content, for sure. So much value being shared there. But that is something that he really can't outsource or delegate, right? So that's something that would be a unique thing. So what I did was I spent 2 weeks and literally everything that I did, I wrote down, right? So if I did check email, we all do that, right? I wrote that down. If I had to run payroll, I did that, I wrote that down. If I had a sales call, I wrote it down. And if I needed to write chapter 3 of my book, I wrote it down, right? Now, what I then did is I started to put these little X's next to the things. So check email, I'm competent at that. That's fine, right? Run payroll, that's something I'm incompetent at. Like, I am not a numbers guy. I'm not a finance guy. I had to cheat in college on my accounting just to kind of get past that class. Sales calls, that's something that I'm excellent at that one. And then writing chapter 3 of my book would be something that's unique to me, right? And then the next thing that you do is you put how much you would be willing to pay somebody else to do these tasks, right? And so for the checking email, I'd pay somebody $12 an hour. For running payroll, $35 an hour, sales call, $60, and then writing a book, I put my time at about $1,500 at the time, right? So now if you just do this, I think what you're going to realize is that you are probably a $20 an hour employee, right? Because you're probably spending a lot of your time doing things that you can delegate to other people. So I would encourage you to do this exercise, see what are the things that you can delegate. And then the next step of this would be lesson number 2. And that is, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. And that's something that I was living my life. I was my own assistant. So what do you have to do now is you need to find an assistant. Well, the good news is that we already know all of the tasks that we need somebody to help us with, right? Because we've already documented it. So you're going to basically put together a job description that you're going to be looking for your assistant. But it's very specific, right? I need somebody that's going to check my email. All the things that I caught in there was that what I was going to do. And then this is actually a good little trick. Whenever you're hiring somebody, in the bottom, always at the bottom, right? You want to make sure somebody's going to read this, especially somebody that's going to be your executive assistant. But in the bottom, I say, is this you? Please reply with interview me in the subject line and send me a short video explaining why you would make a great executive assistant, right? So that this way, if you get 500 people that respond to the ad, maybe there's only 50 people that actually follow the instructions and pay attention to detail, and they put interview me in the subject line, and maybe there's only like 15 people that create a video, right? So you're kind of shortening down the actual process of you having to kind of go through 500 different resumes, right? You want somebody that is actually going to be attention to detail here. Another thing that she did was she took me from 75,000 emails to 0. So every single day I have 0 inbox. Does anybody else have that here in the room? Okay, good. There's a couple people here. Do you want to know my system for 0 inbox? Okay. So it's a very simple system here. So basically what you're going to do is on the left-hand side, if you use Gmail or Outlook or whatever, you're basically going to create 4 folders, okay? All your emails are basically going to go into the 4 folders. But the thing is that you're not going to check your email. You're going to, you might have to do this initially, but eventually after you get an assistant, the assistant is going to have access to your email. And they're going to be the person that actually is checking the email. It's the same thing as if you have a mailbox. They're going to walk outside, they're going to grab the mail, they're going to bring it in, and they're basically just going to sort it. This is junk mail, this is a bill, this is something that needs to get paid today, right? So they're just basically doing that with your email. So the first one is immediate attention. So if anything ever lands in my immediate attention folder, my assistant sends me a text message, right? So that's the rule. If anything ever ends up in the immediate attention, my assistant sends me a text message, and I know that I need to, after I get off stage, go and figure out what the heck needs my immediate attention, right? That's important. The second one is do or review today, right? So these are the things that, you can kind of go through the rest of the day, but by the end of the day, you really need to respond to this client that's angry, or you need to sign a paycheck, or you need to do something, right? So that's the second folder there, is do or review today. The third one is basically Friday review, right? So that's all the stuff that, maybe somebody needed to CC you on something and they just want to make sure that you acknowledged it, you read it, but it's not immediate. You don't need to do that today. You don't need to do it by the end of the day. So like Friday, I'll sit down and I'll block some time and I'll actually go through that. And then the fourth one is casual reading, right? And that's all this stuff like newsletters or, if there's coupons. Like I don't ever subscribe to that kind of stuff, but if there's something that like I just want to see at the end of the week, and my assistant knows me well enough to know what to put in that and what to actually put into the trash bin. So that's the system, and I guarantee that it works if you follow it, right? So this will allow you to have a lot more free time within your day so you can get more stuff done. Lesson number 3. Don't give people fancy titles that they don't deserve or that they haven't earned. This is a mistake that I made. So when I first started this agency in 2015, I might have had 3 people. I hired 3 more people. And so I'm just like, oh, you're great. Why don't I make you my chief marketing officer, right? This is somebody that's only been working with me for like 8 months, has never been a chief marketing officer, has never been a director of marketing, right? And here I am just kind of giving this title over to her, right? She's not capable, and she knew she wasn't capable of it, but she'll take the title, right? But what happens is you're a small agency. I wasn't even making $1 million yet, right? And so if I'm already giving some of the title of a chief marketing officer of a company that's not even doing $1 million, what is that going to look like if I'm a $20 million company and I have a real budget to hire a real chief marketing officer, right? So my point here is don't just give away titles. A lot of times people just do that. It's like, oh, I'm small and you're going to be the chief this person, you're going to be the chief that person. That's really going to restrict you from really growing into a bigger organization. So don't fall into that trap like I did early on in your career. Next one is hire people much smarter than you and get the hell out of their way. I mean that. Get out of their way, right? I mean, we are all, for the most part, control freaks when we own our business, right? Nobody can do it as good as you. But guess what? There are people a lot smarter at you that are way better at things than you are. So just understand your zone of genius, right? We all have our different zones of genius, and you know your zone of genius because you already did that in the first step, right? You went through your task, and you know all the things that are unique to you, right? That's your zone of genius. Payroll is not my zone of genius, right? There's people much better at that. So I hired a CFO. This is later on, but my CFO is just world class, right? My COO, he is a graduate of a college, which is one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. It's called MIT. He has a Kellogg MBA, and he already brought a company to an exit, right? So that's my COO. And so why am I going to start doing the things that he is better at, right? So I truly mean that. Hire people that are smarter than you and get out of their way. This right here is our leadership team. This is a retreat. My company is 100% virtual. So we don't even have an office. That was by design. I wanted to do that because I didn't want to hire, people that would be world-class if they're only confined to a 5-mile office of Los Angeles. Like, I don't want that, right? So my company is built so that if I need to find somebody in the Ukraine, or if I need to find somebody in India, if I need to find somebody in New York, right, they can work for my company. It's not confined to an office. So they manage a much bigger team, right? So they manage the much bigger team. I personally only have 2 direct reports. And I take great pride in that because I'm not the best manager. That's not my zone of genius. I don't want to be giving reviews and telling people, HR issues or whatever else, right? I don't want to have to deal with that. I want to basically be creative. I want to be a visionary. And so basically empower them, and then they basically put in all the OKRs, and they have all the direct reports, and they're managing the bigger team. Lesson number 5. Define your core values and truly embody them as a company. When I first started the company, they're like, oh, we need core values. And I'm like, that's just so cliche. It's just words, right? We want to be world class. We want to treat people with respect, right? It just seems like they're just words that they put up just to satisfy that, and then nobody ever looks at it again. That's not what we did, though. We actually built 4 core values, and the 4 core values are this. 1, do what's right always, right? That's our first core value. Second core value is be honest and transparent. The third core value is stay nimble, never stop learning. And then the fourth one is make it fun and don't be a jerk. Seriously, we've fired clients because they were jerks. How many people have done that before? Good. There's clients, if a client's going to be rude to your people, you can't stand up for that. Sometimes you have to be a hard ass, and if they don't match the core values of the company, then they've got to go. We actually live our core values so much that we have a Slack recognition channel that there's probably 20 of these messages every single day. It's where one employee is recognizing another employee based on a core value that they lived, right? And so all day long, we're seeing people live our core values on Slack, right? We even give awards for people, we have a big spinner where we give away money every week, to people that are actually getting this award. And then we're also giving away recognition to people that are actually giving recognition as well. This right here is our culture, right? So even though that we're a remote company, we get together in person all the time. We do things like Halloween costume stuff. We do escape rooms, right? So we still get together. And then I also give my full company, everybody gets 5 weeks of PTO, which is pretty good. And then we also give away a full week for people to actually do things within their community. We call it a random act of kindness week. And so everybody gets to do things like go and donate blood. We went and we give backpacks to a children's cancer center, things like that. Because if you take care of your employees, guess what? They're going to take care of your clients, right? That's so powerful. Every year, at the end of the year, based on the profitability of the company, I've got a director of people success. Her name is Jill. She's great. Again, HR is her zone of genius. She's awesome at that. So at the end of the year, she fights for a budget for all of the people, right? And so we look at it, we're like, okay, what's the budget you want this year? And I'm happy to give that budget, right? Especially if we meet or exceed a lot of our goals, which we're going to do this year. And then she comes in and she's like, all right, this is what I want to do now. We're going to lift the cap on our contractor help. We're going to, increase dependent coverage. So not only do we pay 100% coverage for our employees, but we also pay 75% of the coverage for all of the dependents, right? So it's almost like a government job in the United States, right? And healthcare in the US is very expensive. We also have things where if somebody is sick in a hospital, other employees can donate 2 days of PTO. So that if somebody only has 20 days of PTO, if there's 100 people in a company and everybody donates 2 days and they need 6 months because they're in a hospital, we'll continue to actually feed their family while they're in the hospital, right? So a new baby bonus, $500 for the birth of or adoption of a child, health stipends, pet insurance. I'm like, really, Jill? Pet insurance? So other things too. So really, we truly take care of our company. This one's valuable. Lesson number 6, create a 3-year vivid vision, okay? This is key, right? Does anybody have a vision with their company? Raise your hand. Does anybody clearly document their vision? Raise your hand. No, okay. There's only a couple, right? There's a couple people that have a vision and only a couple that actually raised their hand. 99% of the room don't have a vivid vision, right? So if you don't have a vivid vision and you don't know where you're going, how the hell are your employees going to know where the heck you're going, right? But do you guys just show up? You know what I mean? It doesn't work, right? And it didn't work for me. And so when we had that super large growth that one year where you've seen the explosive growth, that's because I created a vision. And so let me explain how I created my vision. And I think you guys all should go through this exercise. So the first thing is go find the nicest hotel in your area, the nicest hotel. And I want you to check in for 2 nights. And you're not going to bring anybody with you. You're going there by yourself. You're going to bring a short little briefcase, and you're going to go and you're going to be at this hotel. For me, since I live in LA, I stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel, right? I think Julia Roberts was there when I was there. All these celebrities were there, right? And the reason is because you want to be inspired, right? You want to get out of your environment and you want to go into a much bigger environment where you can be inspired and you can think big, okay? That's the reason why you want to do that. Second thing is now what I want you to do is go and you're going to actually spend time documenting every little detail of what you envision your company looking like in 3 years. Don't do 5 years, don't do 1 year, in 3 years. Summarize it with bullet points, right? I envision we're going to have 25 employees. I envision we're going to do $2.5 million in revenue, in 3 years, right? And so some of my bullets look like this. It's January 1st, and we're reflecting back on the year we just had. We have a total of 325 people. We're still much a very work-from-home company. We got hubs here. Every quarter, we do a leadership retreat. We closed 2024 with 32 million in revenue, at 5 million in profit before taxes, right? I did this here 3 years ago, and we won't hit 5 million, but we'll be pretty close, right? We currently work with 400 clients. We make half of our revenue from paid. That's not true. But anyway, you can kind of see it's very specific, right? It's going to be 4 or 5 pages. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hire a copywriter to transform those bullets into a story, a compelling story. Like it already happened. You're going to write it as though this already happened. And so I hired a copywriter. That was Liz. She's like, here's draft 1 of it. Please take a look. Let me know what you think. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hire a graphic design to make your vision come to life with visuals and images. And this is what my vivid vision looks like. This is it. My vision is December 31st, 2024. We're reflecting back. Hennessey Digital now has a team of 325 members spread across the globe. We're still very much a 100% virtual company. The function areas of this, we got strong leadership, 400 clients. Our client retention is the highest it's ever been, right? So it's very clear. Talking about some of the new technology that we're building, talking about what our culture looks like, what the awards look like. One of the things that I put on there is I want to be the best place to work in the United States. And guess what? We became one of the best places to work in the United States. This is what some of the finances look like. This was cool. We now have a 7,500 square foot investment property that overlooks the ocean in Maui, where we send high-performing team members for 1 week at a time with their families to just relax and unwind, right? I didn't do that yet, but it is something that will be it. I built a studio. That was part of my vision. So I have a studio in Hollywood. I do a podcast. And then from there, then you're going to ensure your team reads the vivid vision. You're going to set quarterly goals, and you're going to transition the vision to reality. Add your vivid vision to your website, write a press release around it so that your clients, your partners, and the entire world can see your vivid vision. You want everybody to see this. So this is it. If you go to my website and you want to see my vivid vision, you just go to About Us, and then you click where we're going, right? It's right there. It's just Hennessey.com. Then you do a press release so that it's ranking for your name, your company name, and that's that. So lesson number 7, position yourself as a thought leader so that you can build and cultivate your personal brand. Remember, you're building a company. A lot of people put so much emphasis on building the brand of their business, right? But eventually you might sell your business, right? They can never take away your personal brand, right? So I put a lot of stock and equity in my personal brand. All kinds of different things. I write for Rolling Stone magazine. I write for Newsweek. I write for Search Engine Journal. I do YouTube. I hang out with cool and interesting people. I wrote a book, which I'll talk about the next lesson. This was a cool SEO hack, if you will. So I wrote a book, And I named the book Law Firm SEO because that's the number one keyword that I wanted to rank for, right? And so I named the book Law Firm SEO because I knew if I named the book Law Firm SEO, guess what? When people did a search for Law Firm SEO on Google, not only are my competitors paying $40, $50 a click for that keyword, but wouldn't it be cool if I owned the knowledge panel, right? So I kind of envisioned what that would look like. And then guess what? When you do a search, well, this is what it looked like. When you did a search for Law Firm SEO, bright red, I made my cover red for a reason because I knew that was what it looked like on the actual SERP. And then it's right there. And then you also will see like Barnes & Noble and Target and Amazon, they're also ranking as well, right? So that's basically true parasite SEO, right? By just kind of writing a book. Lesson number 8, if you give it away for free, you can sell a lot more. This is something that is truly powerful, guys. So what I did was I actually wrote the book, and we literally give the book away for free. So we've got ad campaigns that are running, right? So lawyers come to this, they click on it, we ship them a book. We also take some of the details, so we actually look at who are the biggest spenders in law, like how much money are people spending on TV budgets and stuff. And so I see if this firm is spending $13 million a year, right, in ad revenue on TV, well, I should probably ship their chief marketing officer a book for free. So we send out between 300 and 500 books every month to target customers. And we get a lot of leads as a result of that. Lesson number 9, people don't fail, systems fail. Don't blame your people. It's the system that's broken. You also want to fail in a no-blame environment. This is key. When somebody makes a mistake, don't get mad at them. In some case, they're just exposing a problem that you have to fix, right? So don't get mad at people for making mistakes. And then what you want to do is you want to find the broken systems and you want to fix them. Once a year, you want to go through this exercise where you actually do this graph right here. You put performance on the left, you put culture at the bottom. The top left, those are your brilliant jerks. Those are high performers, but they're assholes, right? Those are the people that nobody likes at the company, but they're just so awesome. I had an SEO that was amazing, probably one of the best technical SEO minds that I've ever met. I had to fire the guy because he was a jerk, right? And everybody was completely happy when we fired him. The people on the left, right, those are people that are not high performers, and they're also assholes, right? What the heck? How did they get into the company? Something broke there. The people on the bottom right, those are people that are amazing from a cultural fit, but maybe they're just doing the wrong job. Or maybe they need better training, right? So you want to take those people and you want to train them up to get to the top right quadrant. And then the people in the top right quadrant, those are the people that you really need to handcuff to the company. You want to handcuff them to the company so they can't leave. How do you handcuff somebody to the company? You pay them more money, right? So you look at like the statistics of what somebody should make. And if you're paying people within a 50% ratio of what the average is, maybe pay them 75%, right, of what the national average is, so that they're making more money. Handcuff those people. Lesson number 10 is to get a coach. Does anybody have a coach? This is one of the things that I wish I would have done so much sooner. I wish I would have done this when I was like just getting started out, as getting a coach that I could afford. Because when I got a coach, he literally transformed my business. He was the one that told me to write a book. He was the one that told me to join an organization called YPO. He did so much for me, right? He was $6,000, $3,000 an hour, right, is how much I pay him. This is my coach. His name is Cameron Harold. Cameron Harold is an amazing guy. I manifested my coach. That's the other thing. Don't just find a coach, manifest your coach. Let me explain. So I basically, about 10 years ago, I saw a video of Cameron on YouTube. And basically, it was about teaching kids to be entrepreneurs. And if you can, watch this video because I think it'll resonate a lot with you as well. Teaching kids to be entrepreneurs. He basically said, like, why do we train our kids to be doctors and lawyers and stuff? What about entrepreneurs, right? And anyway, I'm not going to get into that because we don't have a lot of time. Just watch the video. He wrote a bunch of good books. So at the time, 10 years ago, I knew I couldn't afford him as my coach, but I knew I could buy his books. And I bought his books, and I read every one of his books. And then 10 years later, or maybe it wasn't 10 years later, it might have been like 8 years later, I actually took action. And I reached out to Cameron, and this is the email that I sent him. It says, Cameron, I've been a big fan of yours dating back to when I first stumbled upon your TED Talk in 2015. Through the years, we've connected on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I really enjoyed watching your videos, reading your posts, and following your journey. We have a digital marketing agency with a core competency in organic SEO. Up until this point, we had a concentration working with law firms. The company was first founded in 2015. We've been growing rapidly. We made the Inc. 500, right? And we were actually in the Inc. 300, coming in at 290 fastest growing companies in the United States. We have zero debt. I bootstrapped this from the beginning. We should close out 2019 at $4.3 million with a $1.2 million net. That includes reinvesting profits back into talents. We have a strong team. We don't have a good coach that's going to help us go from 4.3 million to 10 million, right? That's why I need this guy, right? And I put his photo in there. Then I said, I would love the opportunity to chat with you about this. Here's my LinkedIn. You can learn more about Scott. As for me, this is what I looked like you when I was growing up. Maybe your hair wasn't as big as mine, but we were both CD students, and we were both selling bubblegum, candy, and baseball cards out of our backpacks. My fourth grade teacher said it best in this: you should pay more attention in class, easily distracted. We talked about that earlier. I once even tried to convince my mom that F stood for fantastic and A stood for awful, but she didn't buy it. Okay, enough about my childhood. Today, I'm just a 41-year-old hungry-driven serial entrepreneur looking for my Mr. Miyagi to help me take me to the next level, right? Here's my calendar link. Anyway, that's it. Wow. That's simply the best email I've ever read. So I manifested my coach, and then he became my coach, right? And so that's what I want you to do. And lesson number 11, I'm sorry for taking up so much time, but in life, you truly have the power to create a future that wasn't going to happen. All you need to do is take action, because action creates results. Say it again. In life, you have the power to create a future that wasn't going to happen. All you need to do is take action. Action creates results. I took action. I emailed Cameron Harold on a normal Tuesday morning. I manifested it. He got the email, he responded, and he helped take us from $4 million to $20 million. So go out there and find your coach. If you got value from this, my book is called Honest SEO. Tim Solo recommends it. And you can certainly follow me on all of the different social platforms. So thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time.